Hello, my creative friends. I'm Heather North from heatherscreativeblessings.com. I am back with a video for you today. I am using Ken Oliver's Color Burst, and I have here some wood grain cardstock by Essentials by Ellen from Ellen Hudson. It has this embossed wood grain texture to it, and I wanted that texture in the background. And I was just going to have a little bit of color burst in the center. I wasn't planning on doing what the card ended up being at all. So this is just taking you along my little rabbit trail and finding out what I found out works for me and doesn't. So what I did was I used the silver brush and I brushed on a little bit of water where I wanted the color to be. And then I brought in this little box. This is My Favorite Things came in it, or if you have one of those stamp of approval boxes or one of your orders comes in, it's great for capturing the little bits of color burst that might get on your work surface because it reacts strongly with water and it's very highly concentrated. So the color wasn't moving very much on its own. And again, it's because that paper was or is embossed. So I brought in a spritzer and I just spritzed the water on, and I picked up my paper and started moving it around to get those colors moving and flowing. And at this point I realized I was going to have to kind of change my original design and come up with something different based on what I am making here. And that's one of the things that makes card making and making your own background art, because each time you make it, it's going to turn out a little bit different. And it's just a matter of experimenting and seeing where the piece really wants to take you. So once I got all that color on, I just set it aside to dry. And now that it's dry, I'm picking up the Perpetual Birthday Calendar from Stampin' Up. It's a clear stamp set. And I picked out these little bursts. They're kind of like snowflakes, or maybe they're flowers or something. I don't know. Kind of reminds me of a Casual Friday stamp set I have. Anyways, I picked out this stamp set and I used my embossing buddy to make sure there wasn't any static clinging to any of my piece, and also to make sure it was nice and dry. And then I'm stamping this stamp in Versamark, moving it, rotating the stamp each time that I do stamp so that I get kind of a random pattern. And then I took some white embossing powder from Stampin' Up and sprinkled that over my design. I wish I could move and create and stamp this fast in real life. Here I'm embossing the cardstock. At this point I had decided to use this piece for the sketch at Stampin' Celebration. But after I embossed it, I'm like, I really like that. That would make such a pretty border just on its own. So I decided to stamp the other side, same way I did the first side. And now to decide which side I would like better for just the strip, I just took a piece of white cardstock and put it, there you go, one side, the other side, one side, the other side. One side's kind of brighter and the other side's kind of darker. Ended up not really matter. You could use either side. And I'll show you a video on that, how I finished off the second card. But back to this first card, I took my 1-inch circle punch and just went down the line and punched out 4 circles. And I'll save this piece. I think I can actually make 2 cards out of that. It turned out so pretty, even though it turned out nothing like what I wanted. My cardstock here, it's Whisper White cardstock. It's 4 by 5¼ inches. And I laid out the circles, and then I grabbed my sentiment, and I just want to make sure it would fit in that spot. So the sentiment comes from A Dozen Thoughts from Stampin' Up. Almost any stamp in this set would work. And I'm inking it up with Bermuda Bay ink. The background looked a little too plain for me, so I decided to add some embossing lines. This is a Stampin' Up Stampin' Cutter, I think is what it's called. The dark blade cuts and that lighter gray blade scores. So what I did was I just lined it up, and that space in between is where it's actually going to score. So I just lined it up to see where it would kind of fit with my sentiment. It happened to be at the 1/2 inch. And then I flipped it upside down because I wanted the score line to be raised on the front of the card. And then I flipped it over again and just added a second line at the 1/4 inch mark. It would be so much easier if I had just known I wanted to do that ahead of time and just score it before you stamp. So my advice would be to score it at the 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch line and then do your stamping. I'm adding some Stampin' Dimensionals to just pop it up a little bit, add a little bit of interest. When you're working with a clean and simple card especially, all the little details really matter and they make a difference. I'm going to show you a close-up here at the end of the video, but one of the things I also did is I made sure that the wood grain was going in different random directions. You either need the wood grain to all go the same way or make sure they're all kind of going different, because if you have them all going the same and one is cockeyed, it looks kind of funny. That's just my personal opinion. So there you go. You can see at the close-up, you can see that that texture really adds something pretty and special. I think this card is awesome. If you would like to see the second card I made, make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, and I will put that up hopefully later this week or early next week. Here is my card. Be sure to head on over to my blog for all the details and the links to the products I used, as well as the Stampin' Celebration Challenge. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like my video, be sure and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to me on YouTube. I hope you find some time today to get a little bit creative. Bye!